I'm Jen, and this is Prague, the heart of Europe and my adopted home. Subscribe to get an American's take on this enchanting city and all things Czech. Welcome to the adventure. Ahoj všichni. Today I thought we'd have a little fun with the Czech language and I could share some Czech words that I personally find interesting with my English-speaking audience. These are Czech words that say a little something about the Czech mentality or Czech culture. But before we get started, I want to thank this week's sponsor, italki, my favorite platform for learning languages. italki is not an app. No, wait, now they have an app, but it's so much more than an app. It's not a subscription. It's a platform where you can find professional teachers of over 130 languages and also community tutors that you can have one-on-one lessons with. italki is also the best value for your dollar if you're trying to learn a language. Let's say you want to learn English, but not just the English out of a textbook. You want to learn true English, so you book a flight to America, you rent an apartment, you enroll in an expensive language school, and then you hang out by yourself at a bar, hoping to overhear some native speakers speaking English. That's going to be expensive. Instead, you could sign up with italki for free from your home or office, have a few trial lessons for as low as €1 with a native speaker from Chicago or London or Sydney. You can find a teacher on italki whose teaching style matches your needs and whose price matches your budget. Have private one-on-one lessons tailored to your language learning goals, and then put all of the money you saved towards a vacation on the beach. Which sounds better to you? On italki, you won't get large classrooms filled with students. You won't get boring textbooks, and you won't get long commutes to language schools. It's simple. One-on-one private lessons whenever you need them. With italki, you pay for each lesson as you go, or you can buy italki credits to use towards future lessons. When you sign up using my link and the code DREAM at checkout, you can buy $10 of italki credits and get $5 off. When you do, you help me support this channel so I can keep bringing you more videos. Okay, on to some of my favorite Czech words and what they say about the Czechs. Prozvonit. Prozvonit. This is a special Czech word that reflects the Czech telecom industry and the ability of Czechs to go around the rules that don't apply to them. Zvonit means to call, but prozvonit means to call and then immediately hang up. Why do they do this? Well, from what I can tell, when mobile phones started to become popular here, everyone was on a pay-as-you-go plan, and they didn't want to have to incur the charges of just calling their friend to say, hey, I'm downstairs, can you come down or can you open the door? And so if you call someone and hang up, then they can see you called and then perform some prearranged plan. We still do this at our place because our doorbell didn't work for a really long time, so when people would show up to a party, they would prozvonit and then we would know we would have to drop the keys. From what I remember in the United States, since the beginning of mobile phone contracts, it was always unlimited calling. So we wouldn't have the need to call someone and hang up so that we wouldn't get charged. So we don't have an expression like this in English. I've heard some Czechs say that it's similar to ring me up, which is a British English term, but that just means call me quickly. It doesn't mean call and hang up. Stammgast. Stammgast. You could probably hear that this word has German roots, but I feel like it really reflects the Czech culture. So in American English, we would say, I'm a regular. I'm someone who goes to a place often. They know me. They know what type of beer I'm drinking. But interestingly, I feel like in the Czech Republic, that is more a point of pride. I'm a Stammgast at this place. They know me here. It's where I belong. Whereas maybe in San Francisco or Los Angeles, cities I'm familiar with, everyone kind of wants to go to the new place. They don't want to always go to the same place. So it doesn't carry the point of pride, maybe, that a Stammgast does in the Czech Republic. Kočičí hlavy. Kočičí hlavy means cat heads, and these cat heads pave the streets of Prague, literally. That is how they refer to the giant cobblestones on the sidewalk and paving the streets of Prague. They both make me feel like I'm walking through a Dickens novel and make my early morning runs feel like a death trap. And speaking of cat heads, check out this guy that I saw walking down the street in Prague the other day. Not even close to the strangest thing I've seen in Prague. Zmrzlina. Zmrzlina. In case you were counting, that's 5 consonants in a row. And in case you were in doubt of the Czech sense of humor, this is what they make their children pronounce before they can get an ice cream. Zmrzlina was one of the first words I learned to pronounce in this country out of necessity. Zmrzlina, zmrzlina. My favorite flavor of zmrzlina is Liskovi orzeszek. Why would the Czechs stop at torturing small children when they can also torture ice cream-loving foreigners too? Heizelbaba. Heizelbaba. This is a fun one I learned on another YouTube channel called Autentická čeština. The guy makes a lot of kind of funny videos about Czech slang. I'll leave a link below. So, from what I can tell, Heisel, which also sounds German, is a vulgar, pejorative word for the toilet. And baba is the shortened term for babička, which is a grandmother. So Heizelbaba is the slang word for the woman who works in the toilet and takes your money. So this probably makes no sense to my American viewers, but in Prague, in sort of high traffic public bathrooms, there will be an older lady who sits in sort of a cabinet and she collects anywhere from 5 to 10 crowns, which is like 25 to 50 cents for people to use the toilet. She makes sure that it's clean, and sometimes she's even the one who dispenses the toilet paper, so don't try to bypass her. Thinking about this more, we do have bathroom attendants in the United States, but they're usually more in very high-end restaurants or clubs to make them seem sort of fancy. I only ever remember seeing them in New York City, and even there it was a little strange for me. I really appreciate the public bathrooms in Prague because in the United States, we don't really have public bathrooms, at least not when you need them. And I always find myself sneaking into a restaurant and pretending to be a customer and then slipping behind the counter to go to the restroom. And here, as long as you have 25 to 50 cents, you can pretty much always find a bathroom. Now, the job of a Heizelbaba seems to be an easy one, but I've actually read some articles that said that these are pensioners on a very low pension, and they don't do this for fun. This is actually a lot of work, and they're very underpaid. So if you happen to be in Prague, just give them a little extra tip when you use the bathroom. Mulch, mulch. I love this one because it's direct and to the point. Consider how the French say the same thing.
Soyez silencieux.
Soyez silencieux. Soyez silencieux. Or the German.
Ruhig sein.
Ruhig sein. Ruhig sein. Forgive me. Or the Spanish.
Tranquilizarse.
Tranquilizarse. Typical Spaniards, 5 syllables where one will do. So this word means be quiet. I've never actually had the opportunity to use this word with a human, but it seems to have the opposite effect on Tobik. Mulch, mulch. Pražská kavárna. Pražská kavárna. Although a Prague cafe seems to be like the most delightful place to spend a rainy afternoon, except maybe a Prague hospoda, Pražská kavárna is not actually a place, and it's not actually a compliment. In American English, it actually means, wait, I have the exact translation. A privileged, Prius-driving, latte-sipping coastal elite. I originally thought that this phrase referred to a table at Slavia restaurant with poets and writers and playwrights and revolutionaries. But actually, this is a term that's been popularized since 2000 by Czech President Miloš Zeman. He uses it to describe the Prague intellectual class detached from reality, sitting all day in cafes, sipping pressos, as the Czechs call espressos, and not winning elections. Why is everybody always bringing coffee into politics? Like the people who live in villages don't need a little caffeine pick-me-up early in the morning too? Actually, I've heard Zeman prefers his drinks a little stronger. Kecáš. Kecáš. This was one of the first words I learned in Czech because my students made me say it to their boss at their firm's Christmas party. So kecáš means you're full of it. You're not speaking honestly. Basically, you're bullshitting me. It's basically this kid. I don't think it's really vulgar, but I wouldn't say it to your boss. The lesson here is take what your Czech students say with a grain of salt. There's a good chance they're kecaring you. Mrakodrap. Mrakodrap. This has a lovely visual quality to it. So mrak means cloud and drap means to claw or to scratch. So the Czechs say mrakodrap to refer to a cloud scraper or a skyscraper. So of course I wanted to find out what the tallest mrakodrap was in the Czech Republic, and it turns out there aren't any. Not a one. The tallest building in this country is the AZ Tower in Brno, and it's 30 floors and 111 meters tall, where to classify Europe-wide as a skyscraper, you have to be 40 floors and 150 meters tall. Little country, little buildings. So that's probably why they call them cloud scrapers, because they can't quite reach the sky. Oh, little clouds, little clouds. Anyway, congrats to Brno on having the tallest building in Czechia, although we know that bigger isn't always better. Rozenbrada. Rozenbrada. This is a person who thinks they know everything. I'm also kind of surprised that they have a word for this. You'd think they'd just call them Czechs. Techle mechle. Techle mechle. Techle mechle. Like zmrzlina, this phrase has a bunch of consonants in the middle of each word rubbing up against each other. But it's almost harder for me to pronounce than zmrzlina because of that which I can't say without sounding like an Israeli grandmother. And I'm pretty sure the T's in the middle are silent. Techle, mechle, I don't know. This was one of those words that all of us expats had to learn in 2020, like kashel and roshka and ochkovani. And it's not because techle mechle is some grandmother's remedy for COVID. It's actually a bar in Prague, which became a little infamous last year when 90 partygoers contracted COVID at once and spread it to their friends and family. Techle mechle actually means hanky-panky, which seems to be what was going on at the bar that unfortunate night. So I hope you had some fun learning these new Czech words and getting a little peek into Czech culture. I hope you'll get a chance to use these words on your next visit to Czechia. Uvidíme se příští týden. Ahoj!